Hello and welcome to Cruisecast with Mr. Calum Brown.
And Kaye Holland.
Welcome, Calum. Good to see you. You've come all the way down from Newcastle.
Somebody has to live there.
Well, no comment on that one. Good to see you anyway.
Yes, it's lovely to be here and obviously celebrating our debut podcast.
So every fortnight we're going to be bringing our lovely listeners all the latest cruise news and views. Especially in your case, I bet views.
Yes.
I know you're very opinionated.
Yes, well, it seems to come with the accent. So, people will listen whether they want to or not. But we are also here to celebrate the past. We're going to talk about some heritage aspects. And we're also here to look at the future.
And I have to just interrupt and explain for our listeners. Of course, we have a sister publication, World of Cruising, and a sister website. And you are our heritage editor.
I am. I'm not quite sure how that's happened, but here I am. I do a bit of SEO on the side, alongside being a very bad amateur historian. And we're obviously going to bring it all together in a great big package to celebrate what is literally an expanding world of cruising. So,
love it. Should we get started?
Absolutely. And I think that you've got some many happy returns to us first.
I have. So as you know, I've just got back from celebrating Riviera Travel, award-winning river company and escorted tour company, celebrating their 40th birthday. So I guess, Calum, it's a bit like any birthday. You haven't reached 40 yet. I've got a decade on you, I think.
I think my waist size is absolutely stretching towards 40 at the moment. But
we're talking about
age-wise,
years,
I've probably done the same amount of eating as a 40-year-old. But no, I've not quite reached that stage yet.
Well, when you reach that milestone, you've got to do what Riviera Travel did and go big. It was a fabulous party. 3 days in Paris, a couple of cruises down the River Seine. Amazing.
If I remember any birthday party, and I don't, because I have a very particular way of celebrating a birthday, and it usually involves spending time with my best friend, who is the famous grouse. What was the atmosphere like, and do you actually remember any of it?
I do. I stuck to, you know me, I'm a Prosecco girl, stuck to Prosecco every night, doesn't hurt the head too much. It was just, as I said, one big party, lots of travel agents were there. We had quite a good contingent go from World of Cruising. Chris Pitchford, our CEO Lena Slater, and our print editor Sarah Riches, they all came too. So it was a good World of Cruising representation, and then all friends from across the industry. And like any big birthday, there were magicians. There was this fabulous silhouette artist that came round during dinner. They sort of cut a silhouette of your face within 5 minutes. We had break dancers. That was great fun too.
This all sounds absolutely incredible.
Well, it was a big birthday. So they actually started off, we're thinking of River Cruise. They actually started off Riviera Travel with camping holidays in the south of France way back in the early 80s. And then they pioneered coach tours to Paris, hence why they chose to have their 40th in Paris, back to where it all began. And then it wasn't until 2009 that they launched the first river cruises along the Rhine and the Moselle rivers. And then from that, it was liftoff. They went on to establish themselves as the leading operator of river cruises and also curated tours in the UK. And while I was on the cruise, being a journalist, I did get a chance to speak to the trading director, Stuart Milan, and here's what he had to say about turning 40.
I just want to ask you a couple of questions. What does this 40th birthday milestone, what does it mean to you and to the team?
Yeah, well, look, as you've said, it's a massive milestone for Riviera, something to be really proud of, the fact that we now have 40 years worth of longevity behind us. And the evolution that our product has seen over that time frame. And lots more to come, and I think that's what we're really excited about.
And with any sort of milestone birthday, you've planned some celebrations. So you've got everybody on board for a couple of days. Tell us a little bit about that feeling and how it feels to see everyone here celebrating your brand, your business.
Yeah, look, first of all, it's just fantastic to have everyone on board, a real mix of people, trade news, our operating partners, both in touring and river cruising. It's great to have everyone on board and celebrate a massive milestone birthday for Riviera.
Looking to the future, I know Phil touched a little bit. So the next 40 years, what are your plans, or what plans? I know you've got the 2 new ships. That's obviously the big drive for next year. Yeah,
so as you mentioned, the 2 new ships for next year, but also longer durations coming into the river cruise product as well as the touring product. bigger distribution through new markets for Riviera, so going back into the Irish market in a significant way and expanding into Australia and the United States in a more significant way as well. I think, look, we just want to keep growing our River Cruise product, being great at guest services and achieving just a significantly good score on our NPS, which drives repeat business.
And apologies for this question, what do you bring to Riviera Travel?
So I think there's an element of broader industry knowledge that helps me understand how we can take Riviera forward, especially within the trade distribution route, but also with B2B partners more generally. There's an element of a slightly different way of thinking that means that we can service our customers in the right way, both on a B2B basis and from a customer perspective, which generates again that repeat business and wider distribution.
Okay, fantastic. And last question, we also saw Vicky on the World of Cruising TV sofa. Your turn next series?
We'll see how that goes, but we'd be more than delighted to join the sofa at some point.
A big thank you to Stuart Milan, Riviera Travel's trading director, for his insights there.
So as we'd mentioned there, the event took place in Paris, and lo and behold, what a coincidence! It's almost like we'd invited her into the studio. We've got our marketing ninja, as she wished to be titled. We came up with something far classier, but you know these Americans are like. So this is Rachel, and she...
Do we need a drum roll?
I think we probably should. Shall we just...
Producer Johnny's saying no to that one.
Introducing our marketing guru, Rachel Riley.
So tell us...
Hello, happy to be here.
So tell us, Rachel, other than being judged for eating while you walk and picking up all the exhausts from the Citroen 2CVs that fall off because of their fantastic build quality, what was it actually like, Paris?
I mean, that kind of sums it up. I mean, wine was great, cheese was great, you know, good prices.
How
good
long
weather.
Sorry, Rach, how long did you live in Paris?
Let's see, probably about 4 years, and my French still isn't that great, so please don't ask me to speak French.
Can you speak some French for us?
No merci.
I don't know what that means. Wait.
I think maybe you need your own spin-off Netflix show, not Emily in Paris, Rachel in Paris.
Oh yeah, you know, you're not the first to say that actually.
I see it happening. Well, obviously Paris is a very popular stop on River Seine cruises. If you could tell our listeners who haven't been to Paris, or perhaps are returning to Paris for the 10th time, any tips what they should see on a river cruise?
Ooh, well, obviously, seeing the Eiffel Tower from the river is probably one of the best views you can get. And if you stroll on by around nighttime, I want to say it's around 9 o'clock p.m., they start this little glittery sparkle show, so definitely worth.
I saw it last week. They did it at 10 o'clock every hour. It lights up for about 5 minutes. Calum, it's this like dazzling, bling-tastic display. You know I like my bling.
Is it the same colour as Edam?
Well, you've been to Paris, Calum?
I have. I've been to Paris. My Land Rover broke down on the Arc de Triomphe, and I've never seen so many angry people in all my life. I didn't realise the Arc de Triomphe, you have right of way coming onto the roundabout, which is completely against what the rest of the world do. But that's why I like France and I like Paris, because they do things the complete opposite that common sense dictates.
And of course, you, with your passion for cars, of course you would drive. I took the Eurostar.
Yeah, because you're sensible, and it's cheaper and quicker and far less stressful. So I thought Paris was great, right up until the point I got there. Of course, that's me just being facetious, and it's purely jealousy, because Paris is beautiful and gorgeous, and it lights up, and it's got this thing called electricity that Newcastle doesn't really have. So,
can't argue with that.
No, can't argue with that. So a fantastic destination to celebrate your 40th, and I guess that's probably a bucket list for most people. 40th in Paris.
Have you been to Paris, producer Johnny?
I have been to Paris a few times, yes. Love it, love the restaurants, love the wine, love the people, love the French accent. I mean, I shouldn't say it as a British guy, but yeah, no complaints about Paris.
So if, like producer Johnny and Rach and I think Calum, you love Paris, or you've never been and want to tick it off your bucket list, the great news is we've got a competition up for grabs with Riviera Travel, and they are offering the chance for you and a guest to win a 5 to 7 night river cruise through Europe, either this year 2024 or next year 2025. All you need to do is visit the World of Cruising website, that's worldofcruising.co.uk, click on the competitions tab, and I think, Rach, as you set this competition up,
have you got to enter a question or just fill in your details?
No, just fill in your details and make sure you do it by June 2nd. The competition expires at midnight, so don't miss out.
Easy peasy, and you've got to be in it to win it.
So can I apply 500 times to make my case for winning 500%?
Knowing you
better?
already have.
Yeah, that was my Friday night. Just repeat, send. So that's not the only big event that you can find on the World of Cruising website. What we have also been able to do is speak with those up at the Stornoway Port Authority, which I know makes it sound like suddenly we're going to start talking about fishing boats and, you know, seals or things like that, or the weather, because it's quite cold up there. But it's also a big landmark event, as they've now got their deep water port. So previously, big fancy ships like the Queen Mary 2 or anything that P&O seem to sail these days were kind of banished off the coast. They weren't able to dock, and all those wonderful cruise passengers could only see Scotland's beauty from a distance.
You're kidding?
Yeah. And now, after a decade and a bit of negotiation, government messing everything up, a little bit of kind of local debate, the government then messing things up again, and then construction, which was very promptly followed by the government messing things up again, we've now got a cruise port in Stornoway, and the very first ship has docked. It's Ambassador Ambition, a very aptly named ship, which is about as witty as I'm going to get when it comes down to reading these things out. And yeah, it's now departed for Belfast. It arrived on April 1st, so it was no April Fool's joke.
Actually happened.
Real. It was real, despite the open-jawed reaction from most of the locals. Now, I should point out as well, the port's still being built. So it was...
So how did I don't understand, Calum, how did the ship arrive and dock if it's still being built?
Because it's built just enough to let something in. Yeah. But there's great symbolism there for people who are arty, amongst all of our 3 listeners. It means that the future's arrived for Stornoway. The economy was hit very, very hard when it came down to the COVID pandemic. I don't know if I mentioned it, but the government messed things up quite a lot.
Yeah,
I have. Yeah, the Calum ferries caught fire, and that's not an exaggeration.
So actually, the opening of the port, the terminal, it's not just good for the cruise industry, it's good for Stornoway and the wider economy in Scotland per se, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes Stornoway now the cruising hotspot. So cruise ships that really kind of just stay within home waters, Stornoway's now open. Whereas beforehand it was a pipe dream, but it's there now.
And I know you've always got your finger in the pulse, so I bet you've been up there, or else you've got a trip scheduled very soon to go and see.
I will definitely be up there soon, but just to echo what happened in Paris, I have been to Stornoway, but my Land Rover broke down there as well.
It's a theme here, Calum.
There is, but unlike Paris, people then didn't try to punch me into a paralysis for breaking down in the middle of their town. So... definitely extra points to the lovely locals of Stornoway.
And of course we're biased towards Scotland because
it's the best
you can
country.
tell from my accent we've got 2 Scots here.
We have. Not that we're biased in the slightest.
You mentioned, of course, there that was Ambition from Ambassador.
Yes.
That was the sort of date made its debut. What are the other ships going to be arriving in 2024, do you know?
Yes, so having spoken with the lovely people at the Port Authority, we are getting HAL's MS Rotterdam, we've got Seven Seas Splendor and the Azamara Quest. So they are all arriving within the next month, and there are hopes that other cruise lines, the likes of Cunard, Pinot and Princess, will be there next year.
So Stornoway over Santorini?
100%. I would say that over any destination that you put to me.
Noted.
And how would the locals feel about that, you think?
No, it's an interesting point, that, actually. So it's really been split down the middle. Half of the population think it's brilliant. It's going to bring business. It's going to, heighten Stornoway's place on the map. And then the other half believe that it's going to bring pestilence and destruction, and that all of the animals, will be trampled into this new road.
So they're worried about over-tourism?
Yeah, they're worried about the footfall causing damage to one of kind of Scotland's untouched beauty spots. But... having spoken to an awful lot of people about this, it's kind of panic for the sake of panic. A lot of the cruise lines have taken extreme measures to make sure that the nature side of everything is untouched, the environment is unblemished, and obviously the port itself, having been built on top of 2 Second World War shipwrecks, have actually cleaned the area in order to build the port.
So everyone involved is respectful of the environment?
Absolutely, and that's because it's a Scottish environment, so if you don't respect it, it is going to beat you up.
Thanks, Calum. So the Stornoway terminal opened this week, April the 1st.
Any other cruise news? Any stories that caught your eye this week?
Yes, I would certainly say so. Again, living up to the stereotype, the thing that absolutely caught my eye was a world-breaking price. Cost, I think there's now no other more expensive cruise than this particular Seven Seas cruise.
Well, that would be with Regent Seven Seas. They are a 6-star cruise line, Calum. They're
Six-
not going
6 stars is a thing.
6-star, it is a thing. They are 6 stars. It's not going to be cheap.
So now we've got somebody with us who knows everything about planes, but knows nothing at all about the cruise world, the cruise industry, or indeed what a ship actually is. So if we were to put to you, producer Johnny, how much would you pay for a 140-night cruise to every destination you could possibly think of?
Let's give Johnny a little bit of context here. Help him out. So Regent, as we have said, it's a 6-star cruise line. Seven Seas Splendor, the ship, is going to call it 71 points in the Caribbean. Where else? Pacific Islands.
Well, there's 73 UNESCO World Heritage Site visits to look forward to.
Yeah, and it is, as I've said, Australia, New Zealand, Asia, Africa, Europe. You mentioned the 73 UNESCO sites. There's 480 included shore excursions. And I know you know nothing about cruise, but shore excursions can
They can
be
get
pricey.
They can when they build up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's a lot of stops.
14 overnight stays.
14 overnight
Yeah.
stays. Okay. Slightly more glamorous than your Dover crossing then.
Basically, think about that map that everybody always had on their wall when they were growing up, and you're going to everywhere.
Okay,
So go on, have a guess.
Well, I mean, I'm
In 6-star
two
luxury.
people,
For 2 people,
I'm going north of $1 million, I think, here for that amount of.
you're getting warm. He's getting warm.
I'm gonna go 1.5 million.
For a man who knows nothing about cruises, he's very close to the mark.
He is.
Okay.
Let's open it up to Rach. What would you guess, Rach?
Well, I mean, it's Regent, ultimate luxury there. So I think I'm gonna have to go with Johnny on this one. Yeah.
Good going, guys. You're going to have change. It's £1.3 million for 2 guests.
Oh,
And if you're
okay.
interested, if you've got that kind of money, maybe you're being paid a bit more than me and Calum. The cruise
Combined.
departs on January the 11th, 2027, and it will sail from Miami, Florida to New York. And if you are interested, Johnny, you can head over to the Regent website where you can pre-register your interest, and it goes on sale on April the 10th, 24.
Okay, I might do. I'm getting a bit of a pay pack at the end of this month, so we'll see what happens there.
Of course, that's not the only great big achievement that we should really be talking about. We have a bit of a TV thingy that we should be obviously telling people about too.
We do. World of Cruising TV coming to your screen on May the 1st, and the first series will be airing throughout May and June. Very exciting.
So, of course, you were on the set. So tell
I
us,
was.
what was it like?
Oh my gosh, it was the most fantastic experience, Calum. So we're going to be, each episode introduces a different cruise line. We've got a Michelin-starred chef, Mark Foch. He's going to be sharing recipes from the cruise lines. We've got destination talk. We've got more competitions. I guess think of it really as a sort of 30-minute magazine show. Great if you're new to cruise, great if you're a fan of cruise, biased of course.
So there are some preview clips out there on the world of Facebook.
Good
So
old social media.
Are you excited about seeing yourself and everybody else and everybody's hard work up there on the screen?
Absolutely. I mean, you know how hard the team have been working on the project now for a few months, and just to see, it's all our passions, our dreams, just to see it all come to life and get to share it with our wider audience. Can't wait.
And what was it like on set?
Well, you've probably seen the clips on
Oh,
the
yeah.
set, right?
Gorgeous.
Oh my goodness, Rach, the set was phenomenal. No joke, it was 3 times bigger than my shoebox size London flat, and I think we're all in the wrong industry. TV is it's a different kettle of fish. It was great fun, and the set this morning, Saturday kitchen, honestly, it blew it out of the park.
So are these the kind of recipes that I will be able to follow, or am I going to burn my house down?
They are actually. I'm a bit like you. We are not culinary skills aren't our forte.
Is your
We are
dinner on
not
fire
chefs.
as well? Yeah.
Exactly. Some of them were surprisingly. Mark Foch did say we could recreate them at home. There were some gnocchi dishes. You love a bit of gnocchi, don't you?
If it's edible, I will eat it.
Yeah. And also lots of competitions and some fabulous offers on really some really great itineraries.
Sounds great. Can't wait to see it. So who's hosting?
Oh, I can't wait for you to meet our host, Rach. It's Dean Wilson. You may have seen him on Create and Craft or Golf TV or Channel 5's Going for Gold. Honestly, top guy, real pro, and he brings it to life. And actually, we had the chance to speak to Dean on set, and this is what he has to say about the project.
Everything excites me about being here. I mean, look at behind me. Look at this amazing set. We've got some amazing cruises coming, some amazing deals as well. And it's just lovely to bring this industry to life and bring it to people who probably don't know it exists. I've learnt this is an amazing industry. It's so vibrant. You get to see the world in a completely different way. There's people here to guide you, to send you to places that will literally change your life, give you memories for life. The people are great, and also I think with the cruising, it's a completely different holiday that people misinterpret. So we're here to re-educate people. Well, for me, I'm going to be hosting all the shows, so I'll be bringing you the deals. I'll be introducing you to some amazing guests and companies. We're going to be talking food, wine from amazing ships and amazing companies around the world. It's going to be an immersive experience, and I know they're going to love it.
So that's looking to the imminent future for World of Cruising. But now let's rewind to the past. I think this could be a regular segment, Calum. And over to our heritage editor.
Yeah, so we are going to be exploring the past, and we're going to have some guests in future, but for now I'm afraid you are stuck with me. So
Aww.
I know, don't look too sad. Johnny, stop crying. So basically we're going to turn the clock back now to 1907, which is going to sound a bit strange considering we're looking at the past, but this is a story not really very well known, but it is a bit mad, and it's incredibly stylish because it's all set in Italy. It's actually the story about the world's most unfortunate luxury cruise ship, and it's not the Titanic. We're talking here about the deliciously sounding SS Principessa Yolanda, which when it's written down on paper actually makes it look like it's come out of Star Wars. Princess Yolanda of Savoy is who the ship was named after. But imagine you've brought the world's press together. You've brought the royal family together, of which the Italian King Emmanuel III's eldest daughter was named, the ship was named after her.
All the great and good have assembled.
Yep, literally everything. And you're launching this ship which is stylish, and it's got Marconi technology on it well before the Titanic did. It's got telephone and electricity, which sounds really taken for granted now, but this is back in the time where people literally ate gruel and had children as a cheap alternative to turkey at Christmas time. So as you can imagine, it was quite advanced. What's the one thing you would expect a ship to do when you launch it?
Go on, Rach.
Sail?
Congratulations, yes. You would expect it to stay upright. You would expect it to, leave the shipyard.
Uh-oh, what happened?
Basically, this did about 14 yards and then fell over.
No.
Because the Italians basically were too stylish to understand what physics actually meant.
But didn't they have a trial run? Test?
No, they didn't. You can't really trial run a ship launch because that means putting the ship back in the yard, which could be a little bit difficult. Certainly when it's toppled over and it's underwater, which is what happened here.
Apologies.
Not as blonde as the people who built it. And because everybody who built it is dead, you can't sue me. So I'm allowed to say these things. You can stop crying, Johnny. Really, you can. Okay.
So what happened to the ship?
Basically, they were told you should put ballast in it. So put some coal. Make sure it's not top heavy. And they didn't do that because they didn't have to. They were more focused on making sure there was plush and ruched chairs and curtains. And
So all style, no substance.
Exactly. So, yeah, as soon as it came down, it thundered down the runway, I guess you would say. It went to try and get into the water. And everybody cheered for about a second and a half, and then it was horrific screaming as everybody on board had to basically jump off as it fell over. To which the princess, of whom the ship was named after, was mortified because it was her namesake.
She would be.
Her namesake. The royal family were upset. The world's media laughed at them, and White Star Line and Cunard basically sat back and went, we don't really have anything to worry about because while the ship might be more stylish than ours, at least ours is buoyant.
Epic fail.
I think it was an epic fail, but again, because it's Italy and they just do things so fantastically and wholeheartedly, the blame game of who was actually responsible for it became something that was kind of Monty Python-esque. So while this ship is blocking the shipyard and basically never going to sail any further, it was scrapped on site. It never went anywhere. Cost a fortune. It was the pride of Italy, and it never left Italy. In fact, it never left the lapping waters of the shipyard.
What about the shipyard? Did that put them out of business?
Oh no,
Are
of course
still going
not.
strong?
Of course not. It was a stylish failure. It wasn't something that was, judged by many.
I'm sure
might have been judged.
I'm sure it's a story they'd rather forget. But you have resurrected it.
I
and brought
have,
it
which
to our
means that they are
attention.
absolutely going to send people with crowbars to my front door for raising this story after it has disappeared into the mist of time. But that's what we're here for. So if I'm not on the next podcast, it's because I've been murdered. But it is a story that's fascinating. They learned so much from it, and basically it ensured that the next ship that came out of Italy was the strongest, most stylish, fastest thing that anybody had ever seen. But that is a story for another time. But just to prove that this particular ship design was cursed, she had a sister ship, and she also sank. But again, that's a story for another time. So.
And I think it is going to have to be for another time, Calum, because we're out of time for this week. That is it for this week. A big thank you to Mr. Calum Brown, to our marketing ninja Rachel Riley, our legendary producer Johnny Heather, and to you for listening. If you enjoyed this week's episode, please subscribe to the podcast via all good podcasting platforms. And if you're on social media, they can give us a follow there. We're on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook at World of Cruising.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.